The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. A Texas lawmaker is stepping into the drag queen show debate. Representative Bryan Slaton says he's working on a bill that would ban children from attending drag queen shows. Now, this comes after an event in Dallas. Take a look at that. We can show you better than we can tell you, where Dallas made national headlines over the weekend. Parents were encouraged to bring their kids to the show. Video from the event went viral. It shows kids watching while drag king queens perform in front of a hot pink neon sign that reads, "It's not gonna lick itself." I spoke with Representative Slaton. He told me this kind of environment is not appropriate for the kids. And of course, last week we had on drag queens to address the issue as well.
So, Representative Slaton, when you had a chance to view the drag queen show that was designed for kids in Dallas, what did you see that made you say, I need to create a law here in Texas to address this?
And thank you for having me on, Isaiah. So as I saw it and got calls from a lot of people, it just came down to just basic morality and decency. And everyone should have a concern with the sexualization of our children. And I don't know anyone that would have been okay if there were female strippers in their underwear and kids were putting dollar bills in their underwear. They would have been appalled at that. And this was men and ladies' underwear getting dollar bills shoved in theirs. It was not a family event by watching it. And so it's just totally inappropriate for children. I mean, I believe we need to keep porn out of school libraries. We need to stop the gender modification of children. And we need to stop this drag queen event for children, because just let kids be kids. I mean, we won't let kids ride bicycles without, elbow pads, knee pads, helmets. There's a lot of things that they can't do for their protection. And I believe sexualizing children, preventing that sexualization of children, is something we do to help them, protect them, to have a great childhood.
And Representative, obviously those children came from somewhere. So what would you say to those parents who say, I'm okay with it, with bringing my child to a drag queen show in the daytime?
Sure, there are very young children. I don't know the exact ages, but those kids look like they're ballpark. I saw one being held by a parent. It's just not appropriate for kids at that time. Like I say, if the performers would have been women wearing underwear, and that's still inappropriate. We need our kids, we need them to focus on their development and in learning who they are and learning just basic social skills. And of course, kids in school, they need to be focused on reading and critical thinking skills, things like that. But the sexualization of children needs to stop. That is not appropriate whatsoever.
And I don't think anyone will disagree with you on that statement when you say the sexualization of children is inappropriate. They need to be focusing on their development. But taking a look at this law that you're hoping to write up and get into the Texas Penal Code, what would it say? How would it address this particular issue?
Yes, we're working on that. We have 3 or 4 ideas right now. So we don't have, this all happened very quick. We don't have it exactly mapped out yet. But like I said, we think there's about 3 or 4 ways to go at this. And it just, the basic idea is just like we have laws to keep children out of bars. You have to be 21. We have laws to keep kids out of sexually oriented businesses, right? We need something to keep children away from practices like this that are sexually oriented for their protection. We do it in other areas. This is not odd. This is not new. And yes, there are going to be people out there that make bad decisions for children, sometimes for their own personal gain, their personal pleasure, which would be perversion. And we need to stop that. And like I said, I don't know the exact route, but we need to do something to protect children.
Do you see this at all as a possible recruitment tool of sorts for those who may be drag queens, or is it just entertainment What do you see it as?
Well, I watched an interview at the event where someone was interviewing some of the performers, and they asked one of the people there at that Mr. Club, do you think that this will lead more children to become and be involved with drag? And the guy said, yes, I hope so. So some of them, maybe not all of them, but some of them are there hoping to get more kids to get involved in this. And that's not appropriate for children.
For those who say, or may be thinking, okay, this guy, this state representative is totally against the LGBTQ community, would that be accurate, inaccurate, what?
I'm for protecting children, okay? This idea we shared does not involve stopping drag shows for everyone. What we're talking about is don't do it to children. The other things I push for is the gender modification of children. I have not said stop that for everyone in Texas. What I've said is stop doing it to children. So the idea is to protect children. Let children grow up, develop, become an adult, and then allow them to make decisions that they think's best for them. But children can be so easily manipulated, and they can also be encouraged to make decisions that they quickly regret. And they're just so impressionable at that age. So my deal is protect children, let them get to the point where they're adult to make decisions. And hey, if they turn 18 and they make decisions I don't like, that's fine. But children should be left alone, because the grooming is a problem. And I mean, we have all these laws and all these things about, we're worried about human trafficking. Well, that's sexualization of children in a very horrible way. But all the grooming is still just, it's bad. It's just as bad. And that's where I'm coming from.
And for those who may say we have bigger fish to fry here in Texas, especially with the shooting in Uvalde, where 19 children were killed, and conservatives are not focusing their efforts on gun legislation or reform here in the state of Texas. What do you say to that?
Well, we're still getting all the facts in. And basically right now, what I'm hearing is that the biggest issues in this was that somebody left the door open and the police waited too long to go in. And we still don't know what happened when the young person bought the weapon. We don't know, how that took place. He bought 2 guns in several days. So there's still information coming in, and we need to look at that and address it. But, the gun did not do the act on its own. It took an evil human heart to do that. And so we need to look at that as well. But just because that one act happened, we can't stop looking at other things going on and try to make a better Texas for everyone. When people are sexualizing children, we stand up for it, even if it's right after Uvalde or before. We protect kids at all costs. And I think it's totally appropriate for us to address. And I think as we get the evidence in on Uvalde, then we look to address the problems there. That's what we got to wait and see what exactly happens.
And do you push your legislation if there is a special session to address Uvalde? Obviously, other things may try to go into that special session, or do you want to wait until the next legislative session on the calendar to deal with this drag queen issue?
So the governor sets that agenda. It's only up to him. If he puts it on the call and called a special session to start next Monday, I'll be happy to push for it. Absolutely. But if we have to wait for January, well, then we'll wait till then.
All right, sir. Thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored tonight. We appreciate your time.
And of course, we'll continue to follow that story.